The Philadelphia Eagles just sent a message to the rest of the NFL for mandatory minicamp, as multiple star players made some bold claims that, if they come true, should have the Birds' competitors worried going into this season. And that includes some exciting comments from Saquon Barkley about this season, and a scary message from Zack Baun about the current state of the Eagles' defense. Plus, we now have multiple NFL insiders linking star cornerback Jaire Alexander to Philly, so is this move actually possible? Well, we're going to talk about that and all the other latest news coming out of Eagles minicamp starting right now. With the Eagles OTAs and minicamp now being over, it is officially summer break in Philadelphia, and while that may sound pretty boring and uneventful, trust me, there is still going to be plenty of stuff happening over this next month and a half or so, and before we know it, it'll be time for training camp. And with that, a new season of Eagles football will have officially begun. Speaking of which, we actually did just get some key dates come out in regards to training camp, as the guys are going to report for the first time on Tuesday, July 22nd, before practicing for the first time the next day on July 23rd. Plus, the Eagles also announced the date for their annual public training camp practice at Lincoln Financial Field, that being on August 10th. So, safe to say, that's going to be a pretty eventful time of year, and I'm going to be covering it all here on this channel, so make sure you guys subscribe and you turn on notifications, because trust me, you're not going to want to miss any of it. That said though, this spring was super eventful in and of itself, and during mandatory minicamp specifically, the Birds sent a message to the rest of the league, as not only did many players impress out on the field, but a few guys made some bold claims that should have the NFL on notice. So let's start off with Saquon Barkley, as of course, coming off a 2,000-yard season that saw him win the Offensive Player of the Year award and eventually go on to break the all-time single-season rushing yards record, playoffs included, everyone's kind of been wondering how exactly he's going to follow that up. I mean, you would think it can't possibly get any better than that, especially after the extremely heavy workload that he carried in 2024. As the guy literally led the NFL in touches, so it's kind of hard to do that in back-to-back seasons, especially, knock on wood, with the injury history that Barkley does have. That said, it seems like steps have been taken all throughout this offseason to make sure that Saquon is resting and recovering so that in turn, he can be completely fresh for 2025. And don't worry, we're going to hear from him in just a minute, but first, real quick, I want to give a huge shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Raycon. Summer is officially here, and whether you're outside running, going hard at the gym, doing work outside, or just chilling in the sun, Raycon's everyday earbuds are the perfect summer accessory. As not only do they offer a whopping 32 hours of battery life so you can use them all day long, but they're also super comfortable and they're not going to fall out of your ears. Plus, they also offer these cool protective cases. Mine is ocean themed, which is great because I love the beach. And they also support wireless charging, which is great too. Now, as far as the actual earbuds go, I'll wear these when I go to the gym or when I mow the lawn, which can take a few hours, but what makes Raycon's everyday earbuds perfect for this is that they have a great noise cancellation feature to drown out the sounds around you, meaning that I can hear my podcast or music perfectly clear over the sound of the lawnmower. Oh, and here's the best part in my opinion. Raycons are just half the price of other premium wireless earbuds that are out there, and they are just as good. So if you're looking for high quality earbuds that aren't going to break the bank, then Raycon is absolutely perfect for you. And you can also get 15% off and support the channel by clicking the link down in the description, or go to buyraycon.com/PhillyFan and you'll get 15% off the everyday earbuds. So go do that right now. And again, thank you so much to Raycon for sponsoring today's video.
Yeah, you just gotta be smarter, right? You have your moments where you go in there and you grind and you push it. You know, a lot of people probably saw the squat video that the Eagles put out, but you have those days. But majority of those days is just mobility, conditioning, doing all the things to get your body in shape to perform at a high level. It was a lot of workload, but my body feels great. So that's the most important thing. And I think the way Nick and everyone here has handled it been really helpful for me.
You definitely love to hear that Saquon has placed an extra emphasis on his recovery this offseason. It's also definitely awesome to hear him say that his body is currently feeling great. But I think the most exciting thing that he said came a little later in the press conference, as despite the fact that Barkley just had arguably the greatest running back season in NFL history, he seems to think that this is only the beginning.
But the beauty of it is like, I don't know how many touches I had or how many yards, but it doesn't feel like it. I feel really good. I feel like I'm entering my prime, so just got to continue, have the mindset of listening to everyone, buying into what they want me to do, and whatever they do, try to do it to the best of my ability.
I mean, I feel like I don't even have to say this, but for obvious reasons, if Saquon can somehow sustain the level of play he was at last year for the next few seasons, then the NFL should be worried. That said, I also think it's definitely unrealistic to think that the Birds' opponents aren't going to make any adjustments to how they play Barkley and the Eagles going into this season. But even if opposing defenses do that, they're still going to have plenty of other things to worry about regarding this Eagles offense, and that's a message that Jalen Hurts echoed in his press conference back on Tuesday.
Well, they have to pick their poison, and so it's just a matter of going out there and executing. You know, we got to make sure we're in a good position to go do what we're going to do. And then, you know, when someone gets an opportunity to make something happen, make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, like Hurts said, defenses are going to have to pick their poison when facing this Eagles offense, because it's either Barkley kills you, or, as we saw in the Super Bowl, Jalen Hurts in the passing game can tear you up as well. And I honestly do believe that this Philly offense, and especially the passing game, has the potential to get even better this coming season. And very similarly, I also do feel the same way about the defense, which I know that's crazy to say, given that Vic Fangio's unit in year one was one of the best defenses in Eagles history and has a case to be remembered as the best defense in Eagles history. But that's just it. Like, that was only year one of Vic Fangio being the defensive coordinator, and with most of the players now having been in the system for longer and having a much better understanding of what exactly their responsibilities are on the field, I think this defense is currently miles ahead of where they were at this point last year. And that's something that star linebacker Zack Baun echoed when he was on Coop and Reed's Exciting Mike's podcast this past week.
I'm driven internally to just be the best at whatever I'm trying to do. And then obviously watching tape from last year, like I had 150 tackles or whatever, but I'm like, but I missed 29 of them. You know, I could have had this, or I dropped this, or I could have punched at the ball here. So there's always stuff to get better at, and I think we have a lot to do as a defense too.
Oh yeah.
Like, to think that was all of our first year in that scheme.
Yeah, 100%.
That's
crazy.
Actually. Like, what are we gonna do next year? Like,
I know.
Already I feel like we're miles ahead of where we were last year at this time.
No, we're miles ahead, which is a good thing. Great thing.
Yeah.
We're having these high level conversations in OTAs. You know, we haven't really been thrown in the fire.
We're not even like planning for who we're like our offense, like who.
So a lot of
with.
what ifs. That could help us,
which is
future.
good.
I feel like people tend to forget just how bad this Eagles defense was during the first 4 games of last season. Heck, they had a historically bad run defense through the first 2 games, and that Buccaneers game was, I mean, just about as bad as it gets, if we're being honest. So the fact that this year they now have that advantage of having been in that defense for a year already and playing at a high level, I think that's going to make a huge difference, and therefore, assuming a lot of the young guys step up and play well, I honestly think that this defense could be even better in 2025. And as crazy as it is to say, there is also reason to believe that a guy like superstar linebacker Zack Baun could get even better too, which, yes, obviously that is a super bold claim considering that the guy was a Defensive Player of the Year nominee last season. But think about it, like, that was in his first year playing not just in a new system, but also a completely new position. So again, given that year of experience he now has doing both those things, it's possible that Zack Baun could get even better this year, and he seems to believe that as well.
You're still new at this position. How much better can you get?
I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see.
I mean, do you feel like there's a lot of room until your ceiling?
Oh, for sure. I mean, like you said, that was my first real year playing inside linebacker. You tell me.
I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think? Like, obviously, it's kind of hard to claim that Zack Baun's going to be even better next year for obvious reasons, but I mean, the reasons make sense. So again, give me your thoughts down in the comments below. Speaking of which, though, a lot of people actually seem to think that Howie Roseman might have a big move in store in the late stages of this offseason, especially since there's a couple big names available that could make a lot of sense for Philly. And of course, the most recent name to be added to that list is former Packers cornerback Jaire Alexander, as obviously Green Bay just released him this past week, so naturally there have been tons of rumors and buzz flying around that Philadelphia could be a potential fit for the all-pro cornerback.
Gibbs, Philly.
That is a spot that makes some sense. Not necessarily that they need him, but it fits in your, like, going somewhere where it's a bonus if he's healthy, but it doesn't destroy you if he's not.
Can't you just see Jaire not even playing on a full complement of snap or whatever the deal is, that like how he's happy, they're happy, whatever. He's playing with like a crazy contender, and he just goes out there and makes like that game-breaking play in some meaningful, crazy-ass game against the Commanders, and like he gets, I don't even know Jalen Lane's number, like well, whatever it is. Like, I could just see the play in my head where it's like, oh, that's why they brought him in here, to do that and make that Can't you see it?
Absolutely, and especially with, Fangio would probably love getting his hands on him.
Yeah.
It allows him to use some of those other pieces, take advantage of the versatility he has with Cooper DeJean and some of those other pieces. It does make a lot of sense.
There are definitely multiple ways that a Jaire Alexander move to Philadelphia could make sense. I mean, for starters, it could be argued that they have a needed outside cornerback, and when healthy, Jaire Alexander is still one of the best corners in pro football. Not to mention that Alexander was born in Philadelphia, and he apparently has a pretty close relationship with Eagles defensive backs coach Christian Parker, stemming back from their time together in Green Bay. And that's something that NFL insider Jeremy Fowler thinks could possibly influence Alexander's decision. As in a recent appearance on 97.5 The Fanatic, he said, quote, "Talking to people that have been around him or close to him, they believe loyalty is important to him, connection is important to him. That's why I do have the Eagles on my radar with defensive backs coach Christian Parker, who was with him in Green Bay. They had successful years together. So obviously that's only going to add more fuel to the Jaire Alexander to Philly hype train. However, it's ultimately going to come down to price, and Adam Schefter made that clear in his appearance on 97.5 The Fanatic, saying, quote, "Now, Jaire Alexander, if the price were right and you're doing a one-year deal, whatever the number is, a low number, they can make that work if that's what they wanted to do." So yeah, again, that's ultimately what it's going to come down to. Would Jaire Alexander be willing to take a pretty huge pay cut to come to the Eagles for 1 year in hopes of winning a championship? Because, I mean, let's face it, the Eagles are in no position to be handing out large multi-year contracts at this point, and they wouldn't even match Darius Slay's 1 year, $10 million deal he got from the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I'd say a deal for Alexander is going to have to be even cheaper than that, which that's a tough ask considering that he was just making more than $20 million a season on his last contract. So honestly, all that considered, I'd say that the Eagles probably aren't going to make this move. I think ultimately some other team is going to pay more money and Alexander will sign elsewhere. Plus, Kelee Ringo has also been really impressing during the spring, and Jeremy Fowler said that he even thinks that the Eagles are really happy with the cornerback room right now. So again, I don't see it happening, but I'm curious to know what you guys think. But of course, Alexander isn't the only guy being linked to Philly recently, as guys like Trayvon Walker and Kyle Pitts have been mentioned as trade targets as well. And then there's, of course, safety Justin Simmons, who has made it very clear that he would love to reunite with both Vic Fangio and Christian Parker in Philadelphia, and some recent comments from Jeremy Fowler only added fuel to that fire, as he revealed this on 97.5, quote, "Justin Simmons is interesting because I think coming out of Atlanta, I do think he is looking for that Vic Fangio scheme. That's why the Eagles are on the short list there. It's Philadelphia, it's Carolina, that's where I think you should look with Simmons." So again, that's definitely interesting, as it seems like getting back to that Vic Fangio system is priority number one for Simmons when choosing his new team. That said, for the Eagles, I honestly think that right now they're pretty comfortable going into training camp with Sidney Brown and Andrew Makuba competing for the starting job, because if not, they probably would have signed Simmons already. Now, if we get weeks into training camp and the Eagles don't feel good about the guys they have at that position anymore, then that's when I could see a Simmons signing maybe happening. But again, we'll just have to wait and see. But until then, I'm going to be continuing to cover the Eagles throughout this entire offseason and into training camp. So again, if you don't want to miss any of that, then make sure you guys subscribe and you turn on notifications, because trust me, you're not going to want to miss any of the stuff that I got planned. So again, make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, and also drop a like on this video down below to show some support, because it really does help me out a ton. So you can get to at least 500 likes on today's video, and also leave a comment down below, because that also really helps me out a ton. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on anything that I talked about in this video. And also make sure you guys go check out Raycon. The link will be down in the description or in a pinned comment. And if you want to check out another Eagles video going over some news from Minicamp, you can check this out right here. And now with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.